All right. Once again, this is Rumor Control. Here are the facts.
Hello, dear viewers. Once again, this is Rumor Control. Here are the facts. I am an unapologetically huge fan of Alien 3. And that seemed like a fair jumping off point for this latest Loyalist video. My second one, I did one for the new Dune movie from the perspective of a Dune 1984 Loyalist. And as my friends and I saw Romulus the other day, I wanted to give a few opinions that I haven't heard around the internet yet. There's a lot of good commentary out there. I'll mention a couple of them in a second, but my core argument, I haven't heard it yet, so I want to throw my hat into the ring. And I want to start out with the fact of, unlike Dune, I don't have the full, Alien 3 cosplay, but I did recently shave my head. That's got to count for something. And I am drinking the darkest beer I could find as a thumbing of my nose to Prometheus and Covenant and the black goo and all the ridiculousness of that plot point. I hate every second of that. So here's mud in your eye. So the short version is, I didn't care for Romulus. It's not a bad movie, but the Alien movies are held to a higher standard. Alien, Aliens, and for a few holdouts like me, Alien 3, these movies are amazing. They're the kind of movies you will watch over and over again in your life, if in fact that you like them. Alien 4, Prometheus, Covenant, Alien vs. Predator, and now Romulus, they all vary in quality. There are some I would rather rewatch than others, but none of them have earned my love and my reverence, which is something that the first 3 Alien movies absolutely have. So there are good reviews out there. I actually agree with everything that Nerdrotic said, link in the description. Some people accused him of rage baiting because his video's title was a little on the aggressive side. I think he used the word disaster somewhere, and it's not a disaster. But if you can look beyond that, I actually agree with everything he said in the video. Romulus is very heavy on nostalgia baiting. It steals just a ton of lines or scenes or whatever from earlier movies, and they steal a little something from every Alien movie, which alone is kind of a bad idea. And the problem with that is it plays right into my core argument. The reason I hold Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3 to a higher standard than most movies is they are immersive movies. When you watch them, you enter into that world. You very easily imagine what you would do in that situation. You believe in the world. You believe that the plot is progressing the way it is because it's consistent and it's easy to jump from your reality to that one. Not every movie can do that. Not every movie should do that. Like, I have a ton of movies that I love and will love my entire life that are not immersive at all. Like Kung Pao Enter the Fist. That is obviously not an immersive movie. It doesn't need to be. But immersion. Your ability to fall in love with that story in that place, that is just so critical. It's what makes the difference between a good movie and a great movie. My problem with Romulus is it is immersive for the first maybe half hour. And after a little while, you start seeing flaws in that attempt to be immersive. And they did give it a try. I mean, the effort is there. But after a while, I didn't believe in the setting of this movie the way I did for Aliens. And one thing that comes up very often is they recycled old dialogue. One character actually said to an alien, get away from her, you be. And everybody in the theater, you can tell we're all reacting in the same way. And speaking personally, I am a pitch meeting fan, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Whenever someone does that in a movie with the recycled dialogue, nostalgia baiting, every single time, this is what goes on in my head.
Chase and Sarah Connor's gonna show up and she's gonna be like, I'll be back.
Oh, she said the thing.
She said the thing.
Saying the thing is tight.
It is.
Yeah. Once that is what's going on in my head, I'm not very likely going to take your movie seriously anymore. For the record, that was from the pitch meeting of Terminator Dark Fate. Link in the description, out of fairness. So, the first few Alien movies didn't need to do that. They didn't need to use cheap tricks to get you into it. You were just naturally invested in those characters and what they were going through. So, again, Romulus is not a bad movie. If it wasn't trying to be an Alien movie, I would have been more open to it standing on its own merits. But I'm going to hold it to a higher standard because it wants to be part of the Alien, franchise. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I didn't want to go too heavy into spoilers and all that, but I have two things that I wanted to mention in the argument that immersion matters. And it can be very easily broken. So the first one, a number of people noticed this, but they didn't make the same conclusion that I did. So in one scene, basically, there's the ship the characters are on, and they fly the ship to a space station where they need to get stuff, and obviously they need to get back to their ship to go fly to safety. So some characters are on the station, some characters are on the ship. Something happens, and the ship basically gets put in gear, to use a car term, and without anybody at the pilot's seat, the ship's thrusters are engaged and it starts spinning out of control in space right next to the space station. And when that happened, I was locked in. I'm like, okay, that is a terrifying situation to be in the space when your ship is spinning out of control with things it could hit and no one's in the pilot's seat. And no joke, what happens is the ship kind of circles around the space station for a while, bonking into things, causing some damage, and then it crash lands into an open hangar on the other side of the station. And the ship is damaged, but not all that bad. So in the movie theater, I was like, oh, I guess spaceships in this universe they're built like Buicks. They can take a whole lot of punishment. But thinking of it a little bit more, after the movie was over, that scene angered me because the chances of that happening are literally astronomical. When a ship is spinning off into space without anyone in the pilot's seat, you're going to spin off into space or crash directly into an obstacle like a space station. And that just, it takes me out of the immersion because that does not happen. And for the moviegoers who aren't as picky as me in this way, okay, fine, they didn't notice that, they don't care, they accept it as part of the story. But even for them, I will make the argument that in their brain, they know that this is not how reality works. It's not how that reality should work. When I'm talking about immersion, there is room for science fiction and fantasy. Harry Potter has immersion even when you know that magic is not real and you're not going to fly on a broomstick and play Quidditch or anything like that. But you still believe it because it's internally consistent. when that ship did that in the Romulus movie, some part of your mind knows that something is wrong, something is incorrect about that scene. And the more times that happens, the more credibility you lose in the movie. So in my book, Romulus does not make the grade because there are too many moments like that that take me out of the immersion, where I wouldn't say the same thing for Alien, Aliens, or Alien 3. You know, my friends and I, we've watched Aliens at least a dozen times together. And we all agree that really the only crime in Aliens, the only thing that does not make sense from a story perspective, is it's a little silly that they have this massive ship, the Sulaco, and literally every human and the android all go down to the planet. Why wouldn't they have one or more crew members remaining on the ship to support them from the air, to prevent exactly what plays out in the movie? So that's a flaw. And if you're going to enjoy Aliens, that's one thing you gotta forgive. I'd say the vast majority of movies have at least one kind of flaw like that. You just kind of have to give it a pass. You gotta be forgiving. But that only goes so far. Some movies make critical errors you just can't forgive. So on that note, to make my argument, I love Alien 3 now. It came out in 1992, so I was 10, which means I probably saw it when I was 12 or 13. My dad had a very hard rule of no R-rated movies until I was 18. So it took me a couple of years to watch it at a friend's house. So my guess, I was 12 to 14. And like most people, I hated it. I hated it the first time I watched it because they kill Newt and Hicks off screen before the movie begins. And for a lot of people, that is a huge deal breaker. That is how I viewed that movie until I was an adult very recently. For my entire childhood, I don't know exactly how many times I watched Alien 3. I certainly watched it 3 times between, when I was 12 or 14, throughout high school. I know that much. I might have watched it one more time after that, and then I watched it recently within the last couple of years, and I love it now. And in order for you to get to that point, to be an Alien 3 loyalist like me, you need to forgive the movie of the cardinal sin of sequels, which is thou shalt not sorry, I'm completely blanking on the term in there. That's probably the black goo speaking. Sorry about that. Thou shalt not invalidate thy previous movie. Okay? Everyone hates that. Looking at you, Blues Brothers 2000. Yeah, Blues Brothers 2000 actually says that the orphanage closed. So thank you for completely making the events of the first movie pointless. That's why you just ignore Blues Brothers 2000. It doesn't exist. Blues Brothers is its own story. That's it. Alien 3 is a very hard movie for people to love because in order to love it, you have to accept the fact that it invalidates the good ending of Aliens. And Aliens is, hands down, a better movie. So for people who say there are only 2 Alien movies, Alien and Aliens, totally get it. I totally get it. But if you can make your peace with the idea that Alien 3 is about Ripley letting go of everything. I mean, she's facing her death. What is death but letting go of everything? In order for that story to really happen, she had to lose Newt and Hicks. So again, I get it. I get it's a hard thing to accept. If you can accept the idea that this is a unique, let's call it a side story about loss and grief and letting go and facing mortality, all of that, then Alien 3 really becomes an amazing and beautiful story. And once I was able to watch it in that way, it was truly immersive in, frankly, the exact same way that Alien and Aliens was immersive. In that regard, I don't see any meaningful difference between the three films. Even though they take place in different settings, there are different weapons available, the alien is capable of different things. I mean, beyond all of those superficial details, the immersion quality is the same, in my opinion. So, those are my thoughts for today. I might talk about this a little more in a separate video outside the context of Alien, but before I get there, I just wanted to make one plug that they did have an Alien role-playing game that came out fairly recently, and it really does true homage to the Alien movies that came before it. And I'm gonna just thumb through a few pages on my PDF, version of the core book. Even if you don't play it, I've only played it once, to be honest, but just to read it, again, reading that core book of that role-playing game gave me that immersion factor of entering into the world of Alien in a different way, because a role-playing core book, you're not reading a story. It's not a book the way a novel is, but it's more fleshing out a setting to allow you to tell your own stories in the Alien universe. So before I shift my screen to that, I just wanted to mention I chose my angle for this video on purpose because, well, first of all, I got my synthwave and, relatively the same era as Alien, so I had to do that. But also on my other wall here, it's just a ton of things I just dearly, dearly care about. And I realized that all of the fiction there is a story that qualifies as an immersive story to me. So I've got Firefly, I've got Fading Suns, Star Trek, Changeling, which is an offshoot of Vampire the Masquerade from World of Darkness. I've got The Lady of Pain from the City of Sigil, that's Planescape. And I know there was one more worthy of mention. Where did I miss that? Oh well. Yes, and Dark Tower, which you can't see on this angle. There we go. Wolves of the Calla. So when you have immersion in your story, it's not a good story. It's a great story. And when you can give someone that immersive quality, they will love that story for the rest of their lives. Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, I love it. See Romulus, it's a good movie. I believe it's worthy of your money. For me, I didn't fall in love with it. I'm not going to be in any hurry to watch it again because it didn't have the immersive quality of the first three movies. And that's my core argument for how that movie struck me in the theater. And I wanted to put it out here because no one else apparently has made that exact argument just yet. So thanks very much. And now I'm going to shift the screen, and here's the Alien role-playing game as a little unofficial advertisement moment. And thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of Rumor Control. Okay, so I just wanted to show a couple of pictures here from the Alien role-playing game here, because this is kind of what I was referring to earlier. Like, this did such a great job in maintaining the immersion factor of the Alien universe. It explains how your characters would realistically act and exactly what they would be realistically capable of doing and what risks they take into making that happen. Right here, Comtech. You can't always get the comms working. You can't always get certain tech to work, even when you're the expert. And I'm not going to go through the rules or anything like that, but basically, this game assumes that everyone's reasonably good at their job. When the odds become a factor and you have to like roll dice and all that, it's when you're trying to do your job under stressful or situations where there's a time constraint. So all of this just really spoke my language for what I was looking for in entering into the world of Alien and telling new stories. And I thought it did it in a very classy way. So that's my little my actual pitch for this video. Once again, it's Free League Alien, the role-playing game, and I'll include the link in the description. Okay. Well, with that little piece of quasi-advertisement out of the way, just wanted to say thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I forgot to mention earlier, I'm actually not alone. I've actually got my tiny inhuman creature that would burst out of my chest if ever he got the opportunity to do so. So, Don Rapido, and just look at him. He is just the perfect killing machine. Just he's the most violent thing ever. So I've got to watch him because he's yeah. Yep. Inhuman, violent creatures. Can't ever let them out of your sight. Okay. On behalf of the both of us, God bless and thanks again for watching. All right, say goodbye.